Hey everyone, I'm here at my former primary residence, which I just moved out of a couple weeks ago, into the new place that's less than a mile away, so just a couple minutes to get over here to go ahead and show you guys the work that we just did to get this unit all touched up and ready to go for renting in the coming days or weeks as we try to find a tenant to actually rent this thing out and get some cash flow going. It would actually be a pretty big boost to our actual monthly income. But I kind of want to show you what we did to the unit, not very much, but just kind of sprucing it up, freshening it up for a future tenant. We can see one of the items we did here was actually adding this backsplash. So this subway tile was not there before, didn't have anything. This will make not only maintenance easier, because a lot of cooking grease and whatever would get splashed up onto the paint here, and that's kind of hard to clean if it's on drywall. It'll be very easy to clean on a backsplash, and plus it looks a little bit fresher and nice when you look at the kitchen as a whole. We also had the whole unit repainted. This whole thing is 975 square feet. We'll walk you through the rest of it in just a second. But that was kind of it for the kitchen. I considered restaining these cabinets to make them like a darker sort of espresso color. I was thinking about doing that for a while. Maybe I'll do that in the future, but I thought they looked okay enough with this kind of maple color brown. It's not my favorite, and I know it's not probably the most in fashion right now, but it's all right, and it looks pretty decent with the hardwood we got going on here. It kind of fits the general color. I think you either would have to leave it pretty light like this, or go very dark, like almost a black, but keeping it kind of brown, I would think, so like an espresso. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Should I go ahead and do that at some point? I might do that maybe the next time we turn the unit, since I don't think it'll really add too much to rental value as is. Though I don't know, I could be wrong about that. Just kind of looking at what's available now. I think this is a pretty nice unit relative to the market. Except for the fact that it is a garden unit, as you might have been able to tell by this window here. This is like a garden window. Let's see what we can see. We are right at ground level, so that's the only big negative of this unit, is that it is a garden unit, and you would prefer obviously to have a first, second, third, or top floor unit. That would be fantastic, but that's also more expensive. And when you get up to those levels, at least in this area, it doesn't really work as well as a rental from a cash flow perspective. Here, at this price point, got this for about $152,000, or maybe $153, I don't even remember exactly, back in 2018, right after I graduated college, starting law school. I was working full-time, so I used my W-2 salary as a property manager for a different company, not my own or anything like that. And I used that salary to go ahead and pick up this place with owner-occupied financing, which we've since refinanced out of. We have a HELOC on this place, but long story short, we were house hacking this for a while because this place has 2 bedrooms. So let me head on over here to second bedroom. This bedroom right here allowed us to live practically mortgage-free for many months, almost 2 years, really, is how long we had a roommate. My wife and I was alone in this unit for almost a year before my wife moved in. She was finishing up school, where we met down in Champaign, Illinois, which is about 3 hours south of Chicago. So while she was doing that, I was house hacking this place to subsidize living costs, save up for our wedding, and all that good stuff. Because owning real estate, it gives you a lot more control over what you can do with it. You got to get it at a good price, of course, but when you own real estate, you have options. And that's why we're choosing to keep this property rather than sell it to move it into a bigger house or whatever. We still got a bigger house, don't get me wrong, but we're holding on to this place because now we can have a greater income as well, significantly greater, since once this thing is rented, we should be cash flowing about $600 to $700 per month in extra cash flow after we talk about reserves, after we talk about paying down our HELOC, after condo dues, because this is a condominium. I guess there's another drawback, I suppose. But our association is pretty good, and it's only 8 units, so we're not talking about like a massive 100-unit sort of community where things can get very political very fast. Not that there isn't a little bit of drama here and there, or not even drama, but just kind of awkward decisions by the board. You can never totally predict that unless you're on the board yourself, but even then, you're not going to have 100% veto power unless you own the whole building anyways. And then at that point, why keep it as a condo? Just make it into an apartment if you can convert it. But anyways, that's a big aside. So just be careful with condos, because you can run into different assessments that could really throw cash flow for a loop. lots of restrictions could come up. Thankfully, there are other landlords in this building, so I highly doubt they'd be doing anything to restrict rentals. Plus, that hurts the value of the property. And what I've seen in the Chicago market, at least, when condos don't allow rentals, they typically sell for a lot less than similarly looking or located properties, just because you immediately lose all investors as potential buyers. And that's no good for property values because your demand is a lot lower. Anyways, where was I going with that? Oh yes, we had the option to house hack because of that unit over there. And that gave us a lot of financial flexibility, even as I was in law school and had very limited income and could only work part-time. Same with my wife. She was doing her school program as well after undergrad. When she moved in, she went on to grad school as well, still doing that, and will be done pretty soon. But she couldn't make a ton of money either. So we found a way to subsidize our housing so that we could keep saving everything we were earning, or almost everything, and put it into another deal, which is the deal we bought in Indianapolis back in 2020. And that was our second rental. And then, of course, now that I'm graduated law school and have a real salary again, I was able to buy that place about a mile south of here as a new primary residence and will be a future rental. Anyways, let's go ahead and walk through the unit here so I can show you guys what's going on. Like I said, it's 975 square feet. So decent size. It's probably about average for a 2-bedroom. It's 2-bed, 2-bath. So you got the extra bathroom, which is nice. Like I said, we had this new subway tile put in. I think it looks really nice. It helps kind of clean things up a bit, and definitely will be easier to maintain as well when you get all the oil and splash and cooking grime near that area. So that'll help a lot. We had the whole unit repainted, so it looks nice and fresh. It's significantly fresher than it was. I did not paint this place when I moved in, and I thought, I'm just going to wait for a while to actually do that. I'll wait till we actually move out. I actually thought we were only going to live in this place for a year. We ended up living in it for a little bit over 2 years, or at least I did. Anyways, here is one of the bathrooms. This is the guest bathroom, so not the master. The master is inside the master bedroom. We also had our painters / interior people do a recalk of the bathroom, which is great. So it looks nice and clean. You got to do that every few years anyways. So just doing that to help keep the seal there in front of the grout where a lot of water will be getting. So we had them recalk that. That looks nice. It also adds a little bit of freshness as well, just from an aesthetic perspective. I'd say one of the weirdest parts of this property is that you do have in-unit laundry, which is huge, especially in Chicago, where a lot of units are very old. This building was built in 1920, but this unit's obviously been built out well after that. But either way, the building is old, so it's not necessarily wired or has the plumbing to take on something like a laundry machine. So you got to look out for that in especially older parts of town, which is pretty much the whole city anyways, at least on the north side. So anyways, it has in-unit laundry, which is great, but it's right next to the furnace, which is pretty awkward. So that's one thing that I don't really know how you can ergonomically fix. Maybe wrapping this flue pipe here, that would probably help because it does get pretty hot. I don't really know what to do there exactly because you don't want to mess up the furnace or do something wrong or cause overheating issues. I don't really know what to do there exactly, but that was probably the most awkward part of the unit. Everything else is pretty standard. Here's that second bedroom, which I already showed you a little bit earlier. It's a pretty decent size. You can fit a king in here, no problem. We had a queen in here when we actually moved over from the master after our roommate left. That is not discoloration. That's just light reflection from the window right here, which leads into like an alley. Nothing particularly fantastic. Got to wash these windows as well. That's one thing this unit still needs, is one last clean through, since we haven't done that. The color on the paint is Edgecombe Gray by Benjamin Moore. It's pretty similar to what we had before. This hallway was just littered with black marks and dings, and they did a really nice job getting rid of everything and making it as smooth as possible. It looks a lot cleaner than before. Here is the master bedroom. Actually, right here was where my old YouTube set was. Those pictures of Chicago were right on this wall over here, if you remember that. And we had the table right here, with the chair behind it. And then I had my camera and light set up right here. And actually my desk, or if I ever did videos from my desk, it was over here in this corner. So I had pretty much everything in here, and it was a little bit cramped, given all the wires that were kind of everywhere. I should have taken some pictures before I moved out to show you guys the bit of a mess of a setup we had going there. But this is where our master bedroom was. We did have our bed here for a while before I turned it into a YouTube studio. My older set was actually my dresser, which was right here. I remember that black picture frame above me. And then I had a lamp behind me as well. That was actually a dresser, our dresser that we used. I made it look more like a table and put some decorations on it. And that was my original set before I moved it over here. Anyways, that's a fun little aside. We did have our queen mattress over here once our roommate moved out, the second roommate we had actually, and we knew we were going to be moving out of this place soon anyways. We decided to move on over into the second bedroom, which is behind this wall. We were just in it. And that's what we were using as our master bedroom, essentially. And I was using this more like an office studio. It's got quite a bit of closet space. There's our old bathroom vanity, which needs to get thrown out. It was pretty nasty and half broken and not really fixable, or really not worth fixing, I should say. There's another window. Looks like they took the curtains down and probably got to put the fixtures back up there. Here is the master bathroom. And we got to take that shower curtain down too. I don't know, sometimes people leave behind their shower curtains and I always think that's kind of gross, but anyways, I don't want to do that to our tenant, I guess, unless they really want it or something. So whoever ends up moving in here. We do have a jet tub here, which is good and bad. And it's good in that it's like a nice luxury sort of item, but it's more to maintain potentially, and you got to keep it clean too, which is a little bit hard. At least harder than a normal tub. We also recaulked to this tub as well, so that's looking nice and fresh. And then this is a new bathroom vanity here. Needs to be cleaned. One thing that is a little bit awkward that we just noticed, you can see here is the vanity. It's lined up with the vanity mirror, but then it's not lined up with the lights. So whoever put the lights in, or I guess the vanity, one or the other, they didn't line them up originally, which is super irritating. This was before I owned the property. So I don't really know what to do there. It's not that noticeable, I mean, until I pointed it out. It's not worth rewiring or removing things around, at least yet. If tenants complain about it or people complain about it in walkthroughs, okay, I'll consider. But otherwise, it's a pretty negligible issue, all things considered. And you got another linen closet in here, and you got some pretty decent space in this unit. Given that it's a garden, 2-bed, less than 1,000 square feet, it feels decently big, especially for a garden unit. Often they feel quite cramped. But they did a nice job. What really helps is that it's very well lit. Whoever did the initial build out here, there are a lot of lights, so that helps quite a bit. And also, another huge asset for this property is that it has parking. So if we get on into the back, we have a parking spot out back, which is fantastic. And a gated parking spot at that, so no one's getting in there. So that's our unit pretty much. It's right next to Lake Michigan, which is another huge perk. And that is a big reason I bought this place, even though it was a garden, even though it was, not necessarily the nicest unit on the block or a nicer unit. You generally don't want to buy the nicest unit anyways, because then you're not being pulled up by people with higher value homes, which in this case I would be. The properties in our building have sold for much higher than our property has been, or much higher than what I actually bought this property for. And that's only going to help us because the closest comp you can get on a condo is typically something in its building. That's the closest location, and typically it's the same floor plan. And we're a little bit different because we're a garden unit and there's only one on each side. The one next to us is actually 3 beds. Everything above us, so the 3 units above us are also 2-bed, 2-bath. So those are good comps. And the one right above us sold about a year and a half ago before the crash, or not really crash, but before the pandemic, which caused the interest rate crash, which then caused a real estate boom of sorts. That sold for quite a bit higher than I would have expected, which would only help us as long as that sort of demand keeps up. So we've definitely gained a bit in appreciation on this property. I don't know how much exactly. I don't really plan on selling anytime soon. So we'll be holding this on because it should throw off some pretty good cash flow, especially as rents grow even slowly and steadily as they are in Chicago. That should help us quite a bit in the long term since we got this at a pretty good price. Since you make your money when you buy most often. You can get lucky when things appreciate rapidly, but you can't really bet on that in most cases, especially if you're not forcing appreciation and doing maintenance like that. But like I was saying, this is right next to Lake Michigan, which is super nice. It should keep demand up pretty high, even if things around it don't do as well. there's always someone who wants to live near water and near the lake. We're actually close to a really nice park here in Chicago that has a beach and a lot of green space, so it almost works like a cool giant backyard. It is public, so you get a lot of people in it, especially during the summer, but you're decently secluded here. We have the gated parking, which helps. And it is a really nice spot, I have to say. I enjoyed living in this place while we were, and who knows, maybe long term we'll move back into it and then rent out our other place or something like that. I don't know what our long-term plans are with where we're going to be moving, but I think the plan is to keep this property for as long as forever, at least until it makes sense to sell, if it ever does. Keep throwing off cash flow from it. We'll eventually rent out our current place once we move out of that, and then we'll probably buy another place, maybe near here, maybe somewhere else. It'll depend on our career paths and plans and kind of what's going on in the market and everything and what deal we find, since it's really going to be more deal dependent than anything else. All right, I'm getting a little rambly here. That is the unit I am preparing to rent. Should have it rented in the coming weeks, and then we'll get some cash flow going here, and that'll really help our financial position, make it a lot firmer, make it a lot more strong and steady, since we'll have more cash flow coming in, and more cash flow is pretty much always a good thing, except from a tax perspective, I suppose, but I'll pay taxes if it means I have a much higher income. But with real estate, you can often write off so much that you end up paying pretty much nothing in taxes anyways. Of course, talk with a tax professional, but that's one of the big perks of owning real estate. So another advantage to owning, get all the tax write-offs in addition to all the benefits of just straight up having more income and ability to appreciate the property as well, whether it be forced appreciation or market appreciation. Just the benefits of owning assets in general, I suppose. Anyways, if you got any value out of this video, if you just liked looking around, definitely leave a like on the video. That would help the channel out a lot. And I put out new videos every single week on everything having to do with personal finance, investing, real estate. So if you like that sort of stuff, be sure to subscribe. Again, I put out new videos every single week. I won't want you guys to miss out. But until next time, take care.